Welcome to the podcast, Entrepreneur Perspectives, introspective podcast conversations helping build and protect your business one podcast at a time, a CastSource production. In this episode, I chat with the energetic and mission-driven Linh Podetti. This episode exists because of CastSource. CastSource is your content team. You know how many business leaders need help communicating their story? That's what we do. Content strategy, creation, and distribution for business leaders. This provides opportunities, relationships, and a platform for you and your business. Why do we do this? Because at CastSource, we exist to help you create and share amazing content. And yes, you should have a podcast. We'll help you. Learn more by visiting cascontent.com. It was so fun to have a casual chat with Linh that touched on many topics, including surrendering, content, making connections online, and of course, outsourcing. Outsourcing Angel is Linh's main business, and simply put, they make outsourcing easy. She's a mom, a mentor, and she is an absolute blast to talk with. And living in Australia, she got up very early to have this conversation, which is nothing new for her. She'll get into her waking up routine later in this conversation. So let's get right into this episode and welcome Linh Podetti. In a weird way, this pandemic has opened up the lines of communication even more. I was always talking to different people and I had seen how social media can connect people or just content can connect people. And then next thing you know, the pandemic happens and people are less reluctant to hop on a Zoom call to have a conversation. And it's not even weird anymore. For a little bit, people are like, well, this is strange. How do I look? Or whatever. You're like, you know what, screw it. I'm just going to get on a call and have a conversation. And you get to meet people and you get right into it. And there's no delay in it.
Yeah, exactly. And I think more people got creative as well. More people are starting podcasts. More people are just doing shit, Yeah, I think
yes, they are. And I love how you put that. And that's true. And I just want to go from here and just continue our conversation because that's what this is. I mean, we'll talk about a lot of different topics. And I was just having this call with this individual in Arizona. And I don't go to a lot of networking events and virtual networking events. And for whatever reason, this one, I was like, well, I'll check this one out. And someone else on my team was there and we go to this. And it's crazy. I met these really cool people. And next thing you know, she's telling me stories about the company she's at and the struggles she's having with it and what she's looking to do. And here we are across the country from each other. You and I are across the world, right? And it's 5 a.m. where you are and 1 o'clock where I am. And so there's just a lot of opportunities with different people all over the place. And it's really cool because I think we get to learn a lot from you because you've seen this for a long time.
Yeah. So I've always kind of been globalization, that keyword. I was already doing that. And I think, definitely the COVID made us more connected.
Yeah.
We realized we all have the same problem. We all going through the same thing. Doesn't matter where we live. And so especially I help people in the Philippines with jobs. And people always ask are you Filipino? I'm like, nope, I'm Vietnamese. It's oh, why don't you help Vietnamese? I go, does it matter if I help the Philippines? Because we're all people. Right? It's just that I have the opportunity to work with them already. So why not continue doing that because that's my strength? It's not that okay, no, I don't want to help you because you're Filipino and I'm Vietnamese. I'm on a mission to just help Vietnamese.
Right. That leads to this question of why the Philippines?
Yeah. Okay. So Philippines, because of the English language, they've already been brought up with speaking English. It just has a lot lower barrier than if I was working with other nationalities, right? So I also have tried to work with Vietnamese people in the past, but culturally, they're still kind of behind. If you go to the Philippines, the customer service, the experience, they are just all about customer service. So if you walk down to the shopping center, the security guard would be like, hi, madam, and hi, sir. It's so nice. And you're like, what? So it's just inbuilt in them to be such a great customer service experience people. And their English is great already. And then they've been in the industry in terms of digital marketing online for so long that it's just easy to find great talent for business owners, right? Now, I can now try to inspire and help more other nationalities, like people from Africa, people from other places in Asia to start getting into this world. But it's just more of a long-term view, if you know what I mean? So
yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, so I even decided that I'm going to start a mentoring program called Productized Kit. And because I realized, okay, I can't help the world. I can pretty much, in my lifetime, probably can niche and really specialize in the Philippines. But what if I just inspire more entrepreneurs out there to create even a business like mine or a different business that hires people, other people from other countries, then that is my mission. And so I've got a student who's from Nigeria who found me on YouTube and said, I want to work with you because I want to help my Nigerian people. And I'm like, good, because I can't help them. I don't know anything about them.
That's right. Yeah. I mean, there's just that connection that you just mentioned, like that they found you on YouTube and they have their own mission and their own cause that they want to lead. And for sure, there's an end game there where if the more entrepreneurs you help, the more people will need virtual assistants, the more business you could potentially get. But I mean, just even checking out your content, having this conversation, seeing your face and understanding like you're going to be helping a lot of people that will not use your services. So at the end of the day, we all have to make money. We all have to make a living and we want to do very well. We want to have success, but it does seem like to me very genuinely that you would just do it anyway, right? I mean,
yes,
because it seems like the good things will take care of itself. Yes, some bad things will happen, no doubt about it, but things will take care of itself.
Yeah. And that's because I've got deeper and deeper in my spiritual journey, understanding life more. Like, what is the purpose of life really? It's not to accumulate as much money as possible because you can't take it with you anyway. It's the lives that you can touch. It's the legacy you can leave. And it just feels so much better. I was a broke single mom, so I know what it's like to I just want to make money. And when I made the money, I realized it's just like, okay, done. Like, what else is next? And luckily in that journey, I was quick to realize, okay, no, it's not all about the money. It's like, how do you help the most people? And of course, if you make the money along the way, that's great, but it's not just about the money.
Right. Yeah, absolutely. And you use the word, I heard it on a podcast, like this word's been in my head a lot lately, surrender.
Yes.
Surrender the outcome. Surrender can touch on many different things because you talked about being a broke single mom and in the chase that you would you almost squeeze it too tight and it creates more problems. You're just going to surrender it. Like, talk about that a little bit.
Yeah. So do you know that I actually found God or spirituality because I surrendered? There was one moment at the age of 27. So remember, I was always this rebellious girl and I can take care of myself. I know what to do with my life. And I really clashed with my parents. And so we were always fighting and conflict. And that's why I became teenage mom and single and did everything. And then I just went in and out of bad relationships, toxic relationship, and just like, oh, well, next person. And I just felt like I can do this. I can do life. And then at the age of 27, for the first time after a breakup, which I've had many breakups, it was just this one breakup that I was like, maybe I'm the problem. You know what? Oh my God, I can't do this anymore. It was like a surrender. It was like,
yeah,
I can't do this. And I looked up in the sky because I was an atheist. I'd never believed in God. I just thought everything is very logical, scientific. And I don't know, it was just like, even though I went to a Catholic school, it never clicked with me that there was something spiritual. Except this one moment when, you know what, you just gave up and you surrender to whatever's out there. And then in that moment, it's not like something fell on my head and I was like, I changed. But it was that moment that I know I was shifted in the right direction. So I don't know, maybe the next day I discovered a program on life coaching and I was like, oh, maybe I could do life coaching. And then I learned it. And then I realized I was learning and fixing myself through the life coaching. And then discovered Tony Robbins, discovered Oprah, discovered personal development. And then in that 1 year, my whole life changed. I found new life. I found love. My husband found me on a YouTube video. This is so random.
Yes.
And I only made two or three videos because I just started a business and I was like a newbie and I was just like, let me make some videos. And I stopped because I wasn't good enough and I didn't like myself. And then that was enough for him to find me. And then he was an established businessman and I wanted to move to a new city. Anyway, I had a dream to go to America for 3 months, already booked. Then when I met him, I just moved to Sydney instead. But my vision board, everything I wanted in that year, I achieved it. And that was when I go, oh shit, there is a God out there. There is a spiritual side of life. And then, yeah, I guess the last 9 years, 10 years has been like just getting deeper and deeper.
Yeah. It's like, it doesn't stop, does it? Yeah. Right. And it's this in life coaching, because you bring that up. A lot of times you hear life coach like, oh, what do they know? What did they accomplish? Right. Most industries will have that negative connotation to it. But you bring up this story where this is what you did for yourself. And I've seen this play out at our company. I've seen us get new relationships with clients because we started off as an insurance business and then turned in, I started creating content. Everyone was like, you can't do that. You can't tell stories. Like, well, you're in the insurance business and you stick to what you know. And we started creating content. Well, and then we converted it and we have a business. We still have the insurance business. Well, now we have a content marketing company. We create a ton of content. We do podcasting. And it's like, well, when I help other entrepreneurs out, we're only doing for them what we've done for us. And the proof of concept exists. And so it's no different than with a life coach. It's like, well, why should I use you? It's because I've lived this same story and I'm here to help you do the same thing. I would love nothing more, whether you just watch my video or I'm sure hire you and your services and being a consultant for them. There's something super powerful in that because there's a lot of people out there that haven't done that. They haven't lived that aspect of their actual own journey to then help someone else out with it.
Yeah. And so that was why I stopped deciding to be a life coach. So like I learned to be a life coach and I was taught how to make money, charge people $250 for an hour. And this is how you do it, right? And then as I was like trying to help people, I was like, I feel like a fraud. I feel like I need to fix myself. I need to apply what I've learned and just get my life in order. And then I guess once I've done that for the last decade, I've just fixed myself. I feel like I just now have the headspace, the integrity to help people. And that's why I put a lot of content on YouTube and mentoring program. Because once you can do that, turn your pain to purpose, you can really truly help people from the bottom of your heart. Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, that's it. Because it's like you said before, like you're going down this path and it's going to lead to so many different directions that you can take it. And you've already brought up YouTube and content and people connecting with you, whether it's your husband or someone in Nigeria that wants to work with you. Here you are on this podcast. We're having this Zoom call. There's a lot of content that'll be created within this. Like, when did content hit you to say, well, this actually can make a difference?
Yeah. I mean, if I look back, I wish I kept doing content back then, like, come on, 2 videos later, I found a husband, right? Content is so powerful. But yet I think just judging myself, thinking that I'm not good enough yet and being perfect. And at that time, I definitely knew that I was only sharing what I knew, which was how to start a business or how to outsource, which is what I started to know already, right? So it wasn't that I was fraud in sharing that, but I guess, had too much things in my head, and that's what a lot of people will do. You're trying to be too perfect and trying to compare yourself with the people that have been doing it for 10 years. And so I stopped and I start and stop over the years. But I think deep down, I knew it was the path. I knew that if I wanted to really help people, I have to get comfortable with sharing content. And once I realized that, and it's not a selfish reason, it wasn't like, I need to do content so that I could make more money. When I started doing content, it was like, I want to help others, leave a legacy, to share what I know with people. I guess I had more of a courage to like do it because it's like, you know what? Yeah, I mean, if I'm going to die tomorrow, what do I want to keep all my knowledge in me or do I just want to share it? And get over yourself and start learning and doing that. So I start and stop for many years, but then I think the last 2-3 years has been like that commitment in.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, you have to push through that like barrier of, like you said, getting over yourself. What are other people going to say? What do I even talk about? And do you find yourself, like, obviously some of the factual stuff that you might be posting is exactly what you're telling other people to do, but do you find yourself sometimes when in your content talking to yourself, like, this is what I need to keep myself, like holding yourself accountable?
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay.
Oh, yeah. So that's why I have regret, because now that I've gone through the journey, I'm like, it is so good because you become more confident. You validate yourself. You are going on your own journey of realization. And as you're helping people, you're helping yourself. Like I said, It's like, I didn't know that. If I did, I would have done it, but I didn't. I was worried too much about the surface level.
Yeah.
And then even like last year when I did have a podcast, a regular podcast, I did it for about a year. I was just interviewing people. It gave me so much more confidence and meeting new people. Hence, it definitely improved my networking skills. But then it even got me to thinking, I want to be an actor. So this is very different. It was like, I got so used to doing content and being the face and talking all the time that I just had this realization that I'm like, you know what? I love movies. Whenever I watch a documentary, I shift my mindset. I change. It moves me. What if I could be a part of that? What if I could tell the story and be in the movie? And then when I decided that, I was like this light bulb moment. It was this, oh my God, I want to do this. And then when I did an acting class, I was like, yeah, I really want to do this. And see, if I didn't push through doing content, I would never have discovered a new passion or new hobby.
Like, you push through these things and there's something waiting for you on the other side. So what's the acting career like right now?
Yeah, so last year was my first time starting to learn some acting abilities. But now that I'm more of an experienced entrepreneur, I look at the path and go, okay, how did other people succeed? Who is my idol that I could look up to and reverse engineer her? Because obviously in my acting class and the people that I've met, they're really great actors. Why is it that they don't get a job? Why is it that there are so many actors out there that you might watch on Netflix and things and you don't remember them? They're just an actor, right? So what makes someone successful? And so at least now with more experience, I ask myself better questions versus just trialing error and doing whatever. So then I looked at my favorite idol, who is Oprah. And I was like, okay, I love that she's just herself, very genuine, very down to earth. And I feel like I'm kind of like this Asian version of her, from my backstory to like the way my personality is. I'm like, you know what? I actually don't mind doing talk show, like being a talk show, building my brand out there.
I could see it. Yeah.
What she did was building her own brand, really, and being a talk show. And then I understood how she got into the movies. She got poached by Quincy Jones into the movie The Color Purple. Now, it was in her vision board to be an actor one day, but she never really pursued acting. You know what I mean? She was just a talk show host. And then that's when her movie career started, being poached. So I was like, you know what? So I launched my own talk show, the show called Rise and Shine Show. So what I love about the world now is you don't have to wait for a production company, a TV channel to go and make your show.
Yeah.
YouTube is your show, but obviously I hire a proper videographer and make it look as real of a show as possible, other than from a phone or inside my house.
Right. But you can do any of that, right? So there's nothing stopping someone from just using their phone or however they want to do it. You make me think of my daughter. She loves acting. She loves Broadway. And there's some shows she wasn't watching, but when she started watching shows with like a different eye and then kind of backing up to say, well, how did they get the part? So she was like watching Schitt's Creek. And then she watched the backstory of Schitt's Creek and how did Alexis Wright get the part in that show? Or she was watching The Good Place, I think, and Kristen Bell. She's been fascinated with her journey and where she went to college and what she did and like all these different things. And just like you're talking about, so you can do it at any age. Like, how did someone get into podcasting? How did they start this agency or that company? It's like, there's so many stories that we can fall back on and learn about. And then like, it goes back to like the accountability. Cause I was like, even myself with this platform, I started writing and we created a podcast behind it too. It's called Sports Epreneur. It's colliding sports and entrepreneurship. And I was going back and I was reading some of these things and I was like, I wasn't talking to anybody but myself on those things. Then I wrote a post about a lot of this content that I create is for myself. It's self-accountability. So if you post it, I hope you can live with that, right? Because you have to, again, hold yourself accountable for all of these different things. If you're going to put yourself on camera and host a talk show, well, you better have done some of your research. And if you're going to say to do it a certain way, like you have to know what you're talking about a little bit, right?
Yeah. You raise a really good point. And I think I always tell people, like, what is my secret to success? I think it's just taking your own words seriously. Like if you said, you're going to do this, do it, because of course people are like, how's it going? You want to show that you are taking that action. And if I say something, I just start doing it. And I care more about what I promise myself than I care about what I even tell people.
You have a lot of excitement, energy, ideas, and next, like there's so many different like tree branches you could go down. Do you read a lot? Like, how are you like managing all the different things that you have coming your way? Because I'm sure these aren't the only ideas you've had or tried, and right?
Yeah. And I have 3 kids. And a husband to deal with. That's 4 kids.
I'm the same thing. Yeah.
So like, I think the biggest habit that changed my life and gave me just more opportunity was waking up early. So I started waking up 4 a.m. about 3 years ago, I would say. And I've always heard that successful people wake up early. Everyone has limiting beliefs that they start saying, oh, I can't do that. I need 8 hours sleep or blah, blah, blah. But then I finally did it when I knew someone personally who wakes up at 4. So I started doing that. But waking up that early meant that I was able to really spend time journaling, planning my day. What's my intention? What am I grateful for? And then fitting in real work time. Like I'm talking about things that the strategy work or learning new things because you have time for that. So over the years, I just started to have more time to work on things, on my life, on myself, which gave me better opportunity, business growth. And then this year, I even challenged myself. Okay, Lynn, you've been doing 4 a.m. for a while now. And last year, you started trying 3:30. You know what? This year, let's go out. So that's why I'm doing 3 a.m.
Yeah.
And so I bought myself a lot more time. And what it means is that at about 3 p.m., I pick up the kids and I can completely be fully present with them as well. And at 6 p.m., when my husband gets home, I'm all worked out. I don't want to work anymore. I'm with my husband. So this is why I feel like I have so much energy, is because I literally tick every box in my life. Like when they say you have to have that will of life and that balance, it's like, how do you balance it? You can try to balance it in one day rather than occasional day, right? So at 6:30 after my call with you, I'll be doing my exercise, which I now do on Zoom at my lounge room with a personal trainer. But there's schedules just like I'm going to those gym routine, right? But I found another hack where I'm like, I met him and I checked out his program. I'm like, this is really cool. So I go from my podcast episode, like today, I go straight to my lounge room for my exercise, which could be half an hour, but really intensive because it's a real personal trainer, right? I'm not lazing around in the gym.
Right.
Then my exercise is done in half an hour, right? And so it's how do you optimize your day and time so that you can fit so much in? Not much transition time, not much traveling time.
Right. Right. And it's a full day. So what time do you go to bed?
About 9 p.m.
Okay.
Like, as in, I need to sleep by 9.
Because you're probably done at that point, right? Like you can't even.
I can stay in, but then I know I need 6 hours sleep. So your body definitely needs sleep, right? And I realized my hack is that whenever I sleep at least 6 hours, I'm good. And because I'm a very easy sleeper, I close my eyes and I'm like dead asleep. And I know why I sleep well is because I dream every night. I write down my dreams every morning. So I know I'm like in deep sleep. And so it's not about just sleeping for 8 hours and blah, blah. But if you don't have really solid sleep, it's no point. So I do drain myself, as in I can sleep by 9 o'clock. Look, no one is ready to wake up at 3. Okay. So I still have an alarm on.
Right.
Yeah. I still have an alarm. I put it outside my room and it's on full loud, full blast, because I know if I don't get up and turn it off, I'm going to bother my whole family. Right?
Yeah. I've heard this story, like in the military, there's no excuses. If it's a 5 a.m. wake up at 5 a.m. So they have their watch, they have their phone, they have something that is not battery powered or nothing that's electrical powered. So there's literally no excuse of 4 alarms.
Yeah.
If you got to get up, you have to get up.
Yeah.
So, and when I get into a couple other things, you talked about balance. So do you see like having to go out of balance sometimes? Or is it ever a perfect, because on the balance beam, it's like perfectly level. Like balance to me is, it's really hard to be totally level on things, but you don't want to get too far out of balance. But some days you might have to go out of balance because it's like, hey, you have this new venture you're going down and you really need to spend some time with it. And this aspect of your life, something's going to have to change just maybe for a little bit. Like, how do you see balance?
Yeah. So I used to think like that, where like, I'm not going to exercise for a few weeks because I really need to do this. So I need to do that. Right. But then those were the times that I was really out of balance. I started to feel really guilty with my health and I wasn't good. So what I've worked out really recently, like that's the thing, it's like an ever growing improvement. And I really think that I finally found it now is that I wake up this early because I have a schedule. And it's also because I also found hacks even in exercise. So when I used to drive out to exercise, to go to the gym and all that, there was more resistance. It meant that, oh my God, I really need to get this work done. And let me skip the gym today because I have to drive that far or drive there and do it. But then now that I started going to the gym in my lounge room, there's just less reasons to not go, right? So it's how do you actually make things less resistant? Or when I used to go to work out at 9 a.m., I realized that I always had excuse, or I always felt like work was more important because 9 a.m. has already started and work life has started. And so I'm going, oh, this is more important. I'm going to skip the gym today because work is important, right? But then now I don't have that problem because I've already woken up at 3. I've already done all the important things and things. At 6 a.m., my mind is actually ready for a quick 30-minute workout because there's no guilt anymore. And then, like I said, I work a good solid number of hours by 3 p.m. that my time for my kids is actually necessary because I need to rest my brain, you know?
Yeah,
So I really think like at this moment in time, as you asked me, I actually feel like my day is keeping me really balanced the way I've structured it.
Yeah.
I think in business though, there are times when you work a lot in one area. Like maybe I started a new company. I'm like doing a lot of networking on Zoom and I know when to like not do that task anymore because it's draining my brain.
Sure.
Yeah.
Yeah. In multiple ways, you've removed these excuses, putting the alarm outside of your bedroom, right? Making sure that the gym is right there and like you can't walk by it because you'll have guilt if you do. So a lot of it's that, right? It's just removing those excuses, kind of going into outsourcing now because perhaps that's a lot of it because we always feel like we have to work more. I have to, let's say an individual, the person leading the business, the entrepreneur saying, I have to do more. I have to do all of these things. Now realizing that when they can get out of the business, they can allow themselves to spend time with their kids, to spend time with their spouse, to work out, to go out with their friends or whatever it is that they want to do, right? Or spend time working on a new business. But you can't do that when you're working on your own business all the time. It took me a while to get there. And something happened during the pandemic. I couldn't be around all of the people in the company, all of these great individuals that could do all these different things. They had to go out and do it. And I couldn't get in their way of doing it. And a lot of great things happened because you know what? The conversations have been had. The training has been done. The belief was there. Let's go and do it. And we just did it. And that was really cool to see because then I had to remove myself. It freed up so much of my own time to do that. But I know there's a lot of entrepreneurs that are unwilling to do that. And they're unwilling to, before we maybe go down virtual assistants, to just outsource, whether it's outsource to someone locally, a consultant, someone in another location, a 1099, a non W-2 employee, right? Why is that? Why are entrepreneurs so reluctant to bring someone in from the outside that isn't under their roof?
Yeah. So back then, people think I need to be next to them so that I could check their work. It's a control issue. It's like, I don't trust people. I need to see it. Even my own husband actually has never tried or want to try someone from overseas. I live with him for the last 10 years.
I love that. I want to go to that. Yes, go, but keep going.
He's got a traditional mindset. He says, my business is different than yours, right? You don't understand my business. We need to see them or whatever that is, right? And so he's just not willing to try. And he's also a different computer age. I guess he still types with his fingers like that. And he's so I think it's just a different arena. And so I think for us to help people is the people who embrace technology and digital as well. Because you can't work with someone virtually if you're not embracing technology, right? If you're refusing to use Loom videos to do screencasts, you're refusing to use a task management system, then you ain't going to make this work as well. So you have to kind of embrace, I guess, automation and technology to work with people.
Yeah. Obviously, you see companies that are more willing to do it now, but there's a mix, right? Even the large companies outsource, but there's so much like they have to have the people in their company quite a bit, right? Like it's just difficult to think that I can go and bring someone from the outside and they actually don't have to work for the company. It could be hiring a consultant, a coach, a marketing company, or whatever. There's a reluctancy to do it that we'll just go hire for it.
Yeah.
As opposed to outsourcing it.
Yeah. So I think people have always outsourced, but they don't realize they're outsourcing. So I don't know, like let's say your food is outsourced. Like you don't go and cook your own food. You go and eat at a restaurant because it's outsourced. Someone else is cooking for you. Or whatever you buy out there, you're already outsourced, but you just don't realize that's outsourcing is the first. And then most people have to outsource really key things that they cannot do. Like I need to set up my company with an accountant. Let's say, well, I can't do that. So I need to hire this accountant. But they don't realize, well, you just outsource something. The problem when people don't outsource is when they can do the work that they think, why should I outsource when I can do the work? Especially solopreneurs, right? It's like, well, if I can do the work, I might as well do it myself. Or if that's going to take 5 minutes, well, I might as well do it myself. But then if you're doing the same task 5 minutes again and again every 2 hours or every day, whatever, that equals to thousands of hours of your time. And so this is where you need to think about outsourcing or having someone else to take over that task. And then the other limiting belief is like, oh, but I like doing that. It's like, really? Do you really like doing that? Because if you really like doing that, then it's always going to need you. And okay, what if you get sick one day? What if you can't work one day? Right now you can because you like it, because you physically can do it. But what if you can't? Will you make any more money? And it's like, oh yeah. And that's when they start thinking. So they're thinking really short term and not thinking long term. Oh, but this takes me like 10 minutes to do. And if I train this person, oh my God, it took 2 hours and she still didn't know. Hello, have you learned something new in your life too? When you learn something new, you're pretty slow at it as well. When I started to do YouTube content, oh my God, it took me so many tries to do one video. Right?
You're right.
So I always remind people to bring back to your time when you're learning something new. But once you learn it, you can do it like that, right? I don't get nervous as much anymore when I'm doing videos anymore, and I can just talk like that. Once I know the topic, I'm black. But it took me a while to get there. So in outsourcing to just start building that muscle, start outsourcing small tasks, project-based, doing little things that aren't as sensitive, things that aren't risky. And it's not about getting used to outsourcing. It's getting used to that person. Because there's no point in jumping on different outsourcing people because it's in that person that you really can trust and they understand you, then they like you and they just get so used to the job. That's when the reward comes in. So that's why at Outsourcing Angel, we don't do project-based because we already know the challenge in that. It's like you get a bit of here done, a bit of there done, and you're not really building something solid, someone that knows you well and then can almost work on repeat and does it better and better every time, right?
Yeah.
But we only hire people to work dedicated with you because the big part is onboarding them, training them to know your business and knowing how you work, And over the years, I've been working with both local and virtual, and I can tell you that both people need time to really bring return on investment for you because they still need time to learn.
Yeah. Well, It's interesting because you just talked about this project-based thing where it is difficult. We've played in that world. You have these different companies that are out there where you can go and get a project and it's like, then I get to the next one. And there's a whole process in bringing that person on, even if it's long-term versus short-term. There's a couple of things to go back on too. You mentioned your husband and he doesn't do it. You guys live in the same house. So there's so much in that. And there's a mutual respect in what that relationship holds to say, like, there's just not an interest in it. But it's like, well, you're not trying to convince the unconvincible because as you probably realize, there's plenty of people out there and it's not for everyone. It might not even be for your husband. That's okay. So there's plenty of people out there that you can go and form that relationship with that would say, hey, I would want something like this. And you've niched it out to a point where it's not project-based. This is for the individual. So it sounds like it's more of a relationship and a trust thing that's going on with your company.
Yeah. So the whole goal for us is not just recruitment. It's like you can go out and post a job and find someone that says they can do the job and they can do it. But it's like, how do you actually train them, make sure that they become an integral part of your growth of your business, right? And so although we're helping them hire, but we're actually kind of helping them hire their own employee, if you know what I mean? Because virtual assistants, they're all people working from home in different places and it can be lonely out there. And so all we're doing is that we're creating an environment for them to feel like they've got a family to go to. There's all the other Filipino VAs that they can ask questions and talk to. Is like their own space. Because a lot of times there is only one of them that might work for a client who maybe has a few staff member or only one Filipino, let's say, right? And so it can just feel really siloed there. And so we provide a lot of support for the VAs and then we even pay them healthcare, everything else. But still, they still have the freedom if one day they're like, I decide to work for another client or I don't want to work with you or I don't want to be a freelancer. That's still up to them. And even as a client, right, we want to give them enough value that they want to stay, not because we're like locking them in a contract or anything. It's like, we're going to give a lot of value for your VAs. We're going to keep giving you value, not just being a, hey, how are you going kind of thing, giving you business coaching and process support and systems because we live and preach working remotely and scaling up, right? And so we're going to share all that information because without that, we give you a VA, but if you don't know what you're doing with the VA or what you're doing with your business, you can't really grow anyway. So then that's what we do as an agency. It's not just like recruiting VAs.
Yeah. Who's it for? Like what type of entrepreneur or businesses would typically come to Outsourcing Angel to find their next VA?
Yeah. So I would say that the ideal client for us is people at $1 million and above with like 5 or more staff. The reason for that is they understand the importance of retention of I want someone really good and reliable and I want to keep them, right?
Right.
And if you can help me with that, then that's what I need. Whereas I think solopreneurs, look, we still have a lot of solopreneurs or people that are just quite new in business. Definitely outsourcing is good for them because it's cheaper, it's flexible, right? You might hire someone only for 20 hours a week and there's no contract. You can go, oops, my business is changed and I don't need your service anymore. And I feel less guilty because I'm just canceling a service from you. I'm not really canceling this person's employment, right? So that's the mindset there. And so although they really need us, I guess for us, it's just then it's not as sustainable for us because they are still, maybe they're still new to even creating systems. It's like, I don't have time for systems or unblocking my mindset around letting go of control, or I don't have the patience to see them through that training. And because when you're starting out and you're solopreneur, I guess it's like everything is on you and you haven't built the business to not need you. So how do you kind of spend time training your new staff and then also working at the same time? So there's a lot more challenge. Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. It's not as simple as one would think. And it takes time and effort. And I think that's another way to niche is like, you're not, generally speaking, this isn't for everyone, right? There's the unconvincible, the people that never buy into it. And then there's the businesses like, well, you know what? There's a lot of places where you can find VAs, right? They're popping up in a lot of different spots and for good reason. I mean, that's a good thing. So rising tide raises all ships, right? You hear that. It's interesting that you have this specific point where it's $1 million. They have a revenue company and they have 5 employees because it's speaking to you to say, this is the type of company that would work best with us.
Yeah. So because when you're really small, you might just outsource here and there, project based when you need to.
Yep.
You go on Fiverr, go on Upwork, what you need. And once you start to, sales are coming in and you've got the fulfillment you need to deal with, then the last thing you want to deal with is just recruiting new people and hoping to work well, right? You just want to continue on with your money-making machine while building a team up and having us to help there. But of course, we're in the process of building a course. So we're going to teach you how to do what we do. And so this will be really great for whether you want to do it yourself for your established company, or you're a solopreneur or starting out that you want to follow our system. And a small part is the recruitment, because that's not the hard part for us. It's the, I guess, empowerment. We turn VAs from task-based to decision makers. So it's like, how do you get VA to stop asking you, what do you want me to do today? Is this right? Is this wrong? What do you want me to do? Right? We don't want that. What we want is VAs that starts to think for you, treat your business like it's your business, and being able to free you up, because they now know. Now it comes down to leadership though. So this is something that even I had to learn over the years, and we're passing on that information. It's like I had teams, but I was the one approving everything. And I was never empowering them, because I never asked them, what do you think? Why did you think that? And start training them up. And so this is where our secret sauce is. And we want to help people to use this. It's not just for virtual assistant. It's if you have a team.
Well, and if you can allow yourself as the business owner, the entrepreneur, to learn from the other people that are there, I mean, there's so much in it. The conversation that we started with today, and this individual I was talking to, the reason why there's like this level of engagement is I think I can learn a lot from what she brings to the table. And she hadn't heard that before in settings, because it's more like, here, I'm going to tell you exactly what to do, which a lot of times you need. But as someone grows in that role, think about a virtual assistant can help make it better. Here's what I'm thinking. Can you do this and also make it better? Here's this, like, even if it's as simple as a graphic, right? Can you turn this graphic to this idea to make it even something better that I never thought of? Now you're really bringing value, right? And that's what seems like what you're doing.
Exactly that. And like, I also had a limiting belief that I was the best at certain roles. So like, remember when I was trying to let go of the recruitment side of things, because, well, I need to go to the next level. And I actually thought, how am I going to do this? Like I had these years of recruitment experience. Plus, I just know how to read people between the lines. I can feel their vibe, and that's why I'm the best recruiter. But then I go, well, I have to train the next person. And so I got my VA, who I know really well, that I know has potential to get into this role. I just trained her. I just got her to shadow me. Then I shadow her, and it worked. And after that, she trained the next person. I'm like, you know what? You can train anything to anyone. Yeah.
Yeah. So where do we learn more about you, about your company, and the class that you're going to be teaching? Where do we learn more about this?
Yeah. So I have my website, Podetti.com, so you can find a lot there. But Outsourcing Angel is the business, outsourcingangel.com. And yeah, if you search me, I'm pretty much everywhere.
You have your new talk show, right? On the YouTube channel? Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, thank you, Lynn. Thank you for your energy, the mission that you have, the ideas that you share. You brought it all, and we appreciate it. And we'll definitely be checking out all your content. So thank you.
Thanks so much, Eric. And I'd love to catch up with you after this as well. You're amazing. And yeah, really love this casual chat. It's amazing.
Yes. Thank you. One of my favorite things about CADSource is the opportunity to chat with amazing business leaders and entrepreneurs. We hope you enjoyed the conversation. If you want to connect, you can find me on LinkedIn or visit us at cadsource.com. Thank you for listening to this CADSource production, Entrepreneur Perspectives, building and protecting your business one podcast at a time. This episode exists because of CADSource. CADSource is your content team. You know how many business leaders need help communicating their story? That's what we do. Content strategy, creation, and distribution for business leaders. This provides opportunities, relationships, and a platform for you and your business. Why do we do this? Because at CADSource, we exist to help you create and share amazing content. And yes, you should have a podcast. We'll help you. Learn more by visiting cadscontent.com.